this project's been in the works for 10 odd years at this point. How has it changed, like having that long to kind of marinate on such a rich world? How has your idea of what this film would be changed in that time? Or maybe even what the story would be, how you would adapt it?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, we started it and worked on the designs for a year or two, and then The Hobbit came along, which is really the reason why it's taken so long, and that sort of kept us busy for like six years to do three of those movies, and so that appeared when we didn't expect it would appear, and so suddenly we had to put this movie Mortal Engines on the shelf, literally. But it was actually good. It was fresh to come back to it again. As you say, it was actually you do get a new perspective. One of the things we did change coming back as we aged it up a lot, because the book is basically the principal characters, Tom and Hester, teenage, middle
Around
to teens,
14, yeah.
and so we decided to make them early 20s. We just wanted to, because the book's got very adult themes, it's got very adult kind of content in it to some degree, and yet it's the characters were quite were reasonably young, and we just thought, well, let's just age, and that's probably that may not have happened if we got to make it back in the day. Yeah.
And how about like Hester's disfigurement in the book? Like, what was the discussion around how that should be represented in the film? Because that's very core to her character.
Yeah, well, it's described in more graphic terms in the book, but I always think that the book is a that's allowing you to imagine it, and then once you imagine it with the first description, then every time her name gets mentioned as you follow her through the story, you're not having a description of the scarring anymore. So it's easier in a book in a sense that you can imagine what you want to imagine, and then you can just sort of tune out of it and just follow the character of Hester. But in a movie, you can't escape. She's on screen, she's visually there, and so we really what we felt we wanted to do is to create enough of a scarred face that you react to it at the beginning, and then by the time the film's finished, you don't even see it anymore. That's that. We just wanted it to be the level that allows you to move past that and to learn about her and to see her, which is effectively what Tom's journey in the film. The guy that ends up being stuck with her at the beginning, she's incredibly scary at the front. She's an assassin. She wants to assassinate somebody, and Tom intervenes, and they end up as this very unlikely couple, in the outlines. And so, but we wanted the visual level of the scar to be such at which we could actually we could look through it and past it by the time the film was finished. Yeah, sure.
It was also a storytelling choice, because we made the choice really early on that we were going to see how she got that scar. And it's a pretty dramatic...
Which happens when she's 7 years old.
7 years old. This happens to this young girl. And it's told the way it is in the book. And when you actually look at the truth of the way he describes it in the book and how she receives the scar, which is what we do, it's actually not as dramatic. I mean, it isn't as dramatic as losing an entire nose, losing an eye, cutting off half your mouth, and things like that. So,
I think she's a great. Hera Helmer plays her brilliantly well.
She plays.
I think Hester's fascinating in the sense that she's just not. She's not who you would normally regard as a leading character in a film, and that's immediately appealing to us to see something which doesn't just trot out the cliches.
Yeah.
And how about Philip Reeves' involvement with the story and kind of reshaping the story to make it work on the big screen? How much did you work with him?
Well, we didn't work with Philip in the sense that he's a busy author. He's moved on. I mean, he wrote these books quite a long time ago, so he's moved on with his life. But he was very. We would always talk to him about changes that we wanted to make, because we ultimately, you want to have an author because I'm not really used to working with an author who's actually alive. So anyway, but we certainly wanted to make a movie that Philip would be proud of, and what was interesting is that Philip, because this is the first book that he wrote, and then he's ultimately written 3 more, which follow the life story of Hester and Tom, and he says that he wished he could have gone back and rewritten the first book again, because so much of how he developed the story, he just sees now that what he did in the first book, he would love to change things. So he was delighted that we were altering a few things. He said, "Oh, that's great." So he was very open to any ideas about it.
He really cared about, I think, that the world was going to feel real, and the visuals, because he is an artist as well. He's an illustrator, so that's what he really cared about. And then he was incredibly awfully generous.
And we certainly run things like, you know, the scar on his face. We talked to him, had meetings with him, and showed him pictures of what we were thinking, and he was okay with that. He was fine with it.
Yeah, it's an incredible recreation of the world. Like the attraction scenes are unbelievable. Last question: you touched on the idea of the other books. Predator's Gold. Would you see yourself following the arcs laid out by the books? Because Predator's Gold is awesome.
Well, and I mean, even the last one. I mean, I don't think anyone can read the last 10 pages of the final book without just dissolving into sobs. It's like it's so emotional. It just, you know, what I like about the books is they take these characters and they, you know, he does things with the characters that you would never actually think he's going to do. And so I'm a big fan of the book series, and I think the books get better and better. Which I probably shouldn't say if I'm promoting the first one, but they do get better and better. So I hope that. But this is a commercial world that we live in, and it will need this film to be successful for us to be able to make the others.
Have you started thinking about it?
Well, yeah, I would don't want to tempt fate. I mean, you know, and I mean, it's a serious answer. I mean, we obviously, you don't want to go down a road and then be disappointed because, you know, the studio doesn't want to make the next film. So you sort of try and protect yourself a bit from that. But as soon as if we get a phone call from the studio saying that they want to go ahead, then it'll be a very exciting day, because the visual world of Predator's Gold is completely different to this one, and the characters get involved in some interesting stuff. So,
some stuff is being set up in this film that you have no idea what's coming, and with certain characters in this film that you're going to fall in love with, that you have no idea what's coming. This film had to work as its own entity, right?
Have you read the third and fourth ones?
I read all the books when they first
came out. Because
when they first came out.
Yeah, Grimsby, The Lost Boys.
Because Shrike is like I love how Shrike plays an ongoing role. Not so much in Predator's Gold, but he certainly does in the third and fourth ones. So, yeah.
Well, good luck, guys. I hope you can make it happen.
Ask him why he murdered my mother.